France, as the host team, challenged Team USA fiercely in the championship match, but the Americans ultimately triumphed 60-7 66. This hard fought contest does not diminish Team USA's status as the leading force at the international level. The national team's performance in Paris nearly overshadowed the controversy regarding the player selection process. Notably, fans expressed significant concern when it was disclosed that Team USA coach Cheryl Reeve and her staff opted to exclude Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark from the roster. At that moment, Clark was enjoying an extraordinary rookie season, breaking numerous records. This is precisely why several fans questioned the national team's choice not to include the 22-year-old on the roster. Now, with the benefit of hindsight, Clark can reflect on that controversy with a new perspective. In fact, the former Iowa standout views the exclusion as a blessing. In her 2024 Athlete of the Year interview with Time magazine, Clark acknowledged that being omitted from the national squad for the Paris Games will definitely motivate me my entire career. This has further fueled the 6-foot guard's strong desire to make amends at the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. Clark has already set her sights on securing a spot on the 2028 team, identifying it as a huge, huge goal. For what it's worth, Clark took full advantage of her time during the Olympic break, as the WNBA season paused for a month to accommodate the Summer Games. She reportedly enjoyed a million Shirley Temples with her boyfriend, Connor McCaffrey, while vacationing in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico during the break. She returned to the Fever refreshed and ready to take on the second half of the WNBA season after her much-needed rest and relaxation. Time, Athlete of the Year. Caitlin Clark expressed her enthusiasm for the future of the WNBA and women's sports in general during a discussion with NBC sports producer and broadcaster Maria Taylor at the A Year in Time event in New York on December 11. The event coincided with the release of Time's Person of the Year issue and featured a performance by Time's Icon of the Year, Elton John, as well as a conversation with Time's CEO of the Year, Lisa Su. Reflecting on the whirlwind of a year, Clark noted the challenges of completing her final year at the University of Iowa, where she set multiple NCAA Division I records, alongside her first season with the Indiana Fever as WNBA Rookie of the Year, especially at just 22 years old. Though she acknowledged that it's difficult to grasp the attention at times, Clark expressed that she takes the role of being a performer and a role model for youth seriously, and she feels this level of recognition will become increasingly common for female athletes overall. It's meaningful to see those young girls and young boys holding signs or being with their parents. That's a lasting memory they will always share, Clark stated. I remember my first WNBA game, one of my fondest childhood memories, which greatly influenced my desire to be a professional basketball player and a good person. So I try to reflect that every single day. Taylor, who has reported on the WNBA for many years, inquired about Clark's perspective on the future of the league after its surge in popularity over the past year, a surge that was certainly influenced, at least in part, by Clark's captivating performances. Clark indicated that predicting such growth for the sport is impossible, highlighting the unexpectedly rapid rise of her own career alongside the significant advancements the WNBA has made in just a few years. I feel like we're just beginning, she mentioned. If you had told people this is where the WNBA would be 5 years ago, they probably wouldn't have believed you because they didn't think it was achievable. They didn't believe people would buy tickets. They didn't think we'd be broadcast on ABC or ESPN. They never envisioned sold-out arenas or young children wanting to wear WNBA jerseys. Currently, Clark believes the best course of action is to invest in women's sports, stating that the value is only increasing. She suggested that she aspires to play a more significant role in this area in the future. I have a passion for basketball, she said, and ideally, once my playing career ends, I can find other pursuits I'm passionate about. I hope to become an owner of a sports team one day. Clark also addressed the reactions following the release of the Athlete of the Year article, which Taylor noted has been largely positive, though it has included some critical comments from figures like conservative media commentator Megyn Kelly, who accused Clark of apologizing for being white. Clark asserted that she believes she's earned every single thing that has come her way, but she is equally quick to recognize the contributions of Black women who paved the way in the WNBA, including her favorite player, Maya Moore. There have been so many incredible Black women in this league, and continuing to support them is very important, she remarked, and that's something I'm highly aware of. On the criticisms from individuals like Kelly, she remarked, I believe my greatest ability is simply tuning out the distractions, and I hope that continues because with the current trends and the direction the WNBA is heading, you desire that focus and you welcome it. And that's what makes this experience so enjoyable. Both on and off the court, Clark appears conscious of her influence, but acknowledges that at her young age, she is still navigating life. After completing 82 games in 2024, she is attempting to savor the rest she has before she gears up for another season. The WNBA is currently experiencing significant growth, but this has not always been the case. When the league began in 1997, it started with only 8 teams from the Eastern Conference and 4 from the Western Conference. Today, merely 3 of those founding franchises remain. Acknowledging the difficulties of sustaining a women's league in the U.S., Sue Bird, a central figure in the league's history, has shared valuable insights. In a recent episode of A Touch More, Sue Bird collaborated with her wife, Megan, to explore various topics related to the WNBA. From a league perspective, I consider the primary challenge for women's sports in our country has been establishing a league that can truly thrive, she stated. We've experienced numerous leagues in women's basketball, including the WNBA, and frankly, I often lose track of the acronyms. There have just been countless leagues. The 22-year-old native of Iowa made headlines when she joined the Indiana Fever as the #1 overall pick, injecting fresh energy into the league. From the outset, Clark's prowess both on and off the court has been clear. Just a few months into the season, arenas were filling up to 94%, a clear indication of the league's rising appeal. You may wonder how she's contributing to this growth. Well, she is significantly responsible for a remarkable 26% of the WNBA's economic activity. While Clark earns approximately $76,535 as part of her WNBA contract, that's roughly 1% of her overall income. Her off-court earnings are extraordinary. She accumulated an impressive $1 million from endorsements, making her the highest-paid player in WNBA history, with an astounding 99% of that generated outside of basketball. Clark has been credited with selling 1 out of every 6 tickets in WNBA arenas during the 2024 season, and her influence extends beyond that. Focusing on just the Fever games, she has notably enhanced the league's broadcasting value, accounting for 45% of it. What once was a struggling team is now setting records in viewership. Jason Whitlock has retracted his support for Caitlin Clark in an emotionally charged outburst following her interview with Time magazine earlier this week. The 22-year-old Clark was awarded Athlete of the Year for 2024 following her groundbreaking WNBA season with Indiana Fever, which generated significant interest in women's basketball. During her interview with the publication, Clark discussed the white privilege she encountered upon entering the league and its impact on interest levels. Remarks that Whitlock, a longtime supporter of Clark, stated brought him to tears. She essentially said in this Time interview, "Hey Whitlock, I don't like you, and all you evangelical conservatives who supported me. I stand with the Woke Basketball Association. I stand with the feminists. I stand with the lesbians," Whitlock remarked. Wow, I did cry this morning while reading the Time magazine article. It's more than just the excerpts, it is systematic. The degradation of her. She has been subdued, and I anticipated this. I was partly predicting this. And Caitlin Clark enters this, and she has a boyfriend, and she's trying her best to avoid politics. We've witnessed other heterosexual women enter the WNBA behind enemy lines, and they've come out exclaiming how hostile are they toward women in the WNBA. Whitlock subsequently claimed that Clark encountered greater challenges as a heterosexual white woman in the WNBA than Jackie Robinson, the first African American to compete in Major League Baseball. Initially, I asserted that what Clark would face was more challenging than what Jackie Robinson experienced entering MLB in 1947. People thought I was insane, Whitlock noted. Robinson received genuine death threats, but in every other regard, what Caitlin Clark faced entering the WNBA would be significantly more challenging. And look where we are 8 months later. Caitlin Clark has raised the white flag, and she has capitulated. Whitlock also received assistance from a colleague on his show in dismantling a poster of Clark from the wall in his studio. He replaced it with an image of Clark's WNBA competitor, Sophie Cunningham. And regarding Cunningham's looks, Whitlock remarked, "I will mention this. If Sophie goes woke, she still carries herself well. I will say that." Indiana Fever rookie Caitlin Clark has been designated Time's Athlete of the Year. Clark's ascent to fame has also elevated the WNBA. An average of over 2 million viewers watched Clark's WNBA debut with the Indiana Fever on ESPN, and her presence has propelled unprecedented ticket sales for the league. More viewers watched the WNBA championship game this year than any game of the NBA Finals or MLB's World Series. The 22-year-old was selected first by the Indiana Fever in the WNBA draft just days after guiding Iowa to the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship game, breaking the all-time college scoring record in the process. Clark started in all 40 regular season games with the Fever, averaging 19, 2 points, and a league-leading 8. 4 assists. Her exceptional performance helped the Fever make the WNBA playoffs for the first time since 2016. Clark was awarded WNBA Rookie of the Year in a nearly unanimous vote in October. Throughout this period, Time reports, Clark has invigorated both the league and its growing fan base. "You feel powerful," Clark told the magazine. "Immediately, everybody goes wild. People are invested in the game, they love the game, and that's what makes it so enjoyable for me. These people aren't supporting women's sports to tick a box. It's going to be the new normal."